The people who effortlessly win their mornings know something that the rest of us are missing. It's not what you think, and it's definitely not what they teach in productivity courses. Stay with me, because this changes everything. Most people think winning the morning means forcing themselves out of bed at 5 a.m., following some rigid routine they saw on social media, and grinding through activities they hate. They believe it's about willpower, discipline, and somehow becoming a completely different person overnight. But here's the truth that changes everything. The people who consistently have amazing mornings aren't fighting themselves every step of the way. They're not relying on motivation or forcing themselves through routines that feel like punishment. They've discovered something much more powerful. They understand that winning the morning isn't about conquest, it's about alignment. It's not about forcing your way into someone else's perfect morning routine. It's about discovering your unique rhythm and working with your natural energy instead of against it. The most successful morning people have learned to design their mornings around who they actually are, not who they think they should be. They've stopped trying to fit into someone else's template and started creating their own blueprint for morning success. This understanding doesn't just transform your mornings, it transforms your entire day, your energy levels, your productivity, and ultimately your life. When you learn to work with your natural patterns instead of against them, mornings become something you look forward to instead of something you dread. Have you noticed how the harder you try to create the perfect morning routine, a more elusive consistency becomes? There's something happening beneath the surface that most of us miss because we're focused on copying what works for others instead of discovering what works for us. Picture this scenario. You see someone online talking about their incredible 5 a.m. routine, meditation, exercise, journaling, healthy breakfast, and they're out the door feeling amazing. You think, that's exactly what I need. So you set your alarm for 5 a.m., plan the perfect routine, and go to bed excited about your transformation. The first day, you hit snooze 3 times and feel guilty before you're even out of bed. By day 3, you're exhausted and irritable. By day 7, you've given up entirely and feel like a failure. You conclude that you're just not a morning person, that you lack discipline, or that you're fundamentally broken. But here's the compassionate truth. You're not broken. You're not lacking willpower. You're not destined to have terrible mornings. You've simply been trying to fit yourself into someone else's pattern instead of discovering your own. The real issue isn't your inability to stick to morning routines. It's that you've been taught to see morning success as a one-size-fits-all formula instead of a personalized system that works with your unique chronotype, energy patterns, and life circumstances. Your brain and body have natural rhythms that have been developing for your entire life. Some people are naturally energetic in the early morning, others hit their stride later. Some people need quiet solitude to start their day, others thrive on social interaction. Some people work best with structured routines, others need flexibility and spontaneity. When you try to force yourself into a morning routine that conflicts with your natural patterns, you're essentially fighting against your own biology. It's like trying to make a river flow uphill. You might succeed for a short time through enormous effort, but eventually the natural flow will reassert itself. The deeper root cause of morning struggles isn't laziness or lack of discipline. It's misalignment between what you're trying to do and who you actually are. Your resistance to certain morning activities isn't a character flaw. It's information about what doesn't fit your natural rhythm. Think about how a flower opens in the morning. It doesn't force itself to bloom at an arbitrary time. It responds to the natural cues of sunlight, temperature, and its own internal timing. When conditions are right, the opening happens effortlessly. When conditions are wrong, forcing it would damage the flower. Your morning energy works the same way. When you align your morning activities with your natural patterns, energy flows naturally. When you fight against these patterns, every action requires enormous effort and leaves you feeling depleted. Most people are exhausted by 9 a.m. not because mornings are inherently difficult, but because they're trying to force themselves through activities that don't match their natural energy, timing, or preferences. They're swimming upstream when they could be flowing with the current. The beautiful truth is that once you understand this, your mornings can become a source of energy and joy rather than stress and struggle. Instead of fighting against your nature, you can learn to work with it. Instead of copying someone else's routine, you can create your own personalized approach to morning success. Your morning struggles aren't a sign that you're not meant to have good mornings. They're a sign that you haven't yet discovered the approach that works for your unique system. And that discovery is not only possible, it's inevitable once you start listening to your body's wisdom instead of fighting against it. Let me tell you about David, a marketing executive who spent years believing he was simply not a morning person. Every few months, he'd try a new morning routine he'd read about or seen someone else succeed with. He'd set his alarm earlier, plan elaborate sequences of activities, and push himself to become someone he thought he should be. The 5 a.m. workout routine lasted 2 weeks before he was too exhausted to continue. The meditation and journaling practice felt forced and artificial. The cold showers made him miserable. The elaborate breakfast preparations stressed him out before his day even began. Each failed attempt reinforced his belief that he was fundamentally flawed when it came to mornings. David's mornings became a source of stress and self-criticism. He'd wake up already feeling behind, rushing through activities that felt unnatural, and arriving at work feeling frazzled rather than energized. His evenings were consumed with planning the next morning's routine, hoping that this time would be different. Then something shifted during a particularly stressful project at work. David had to start his days earlier to accommodate calls with international clients. But instead of forcing himself through his usual routine, he simplified everything. He prepared his clothes the night before, kept breakfast simple, and used the quiet morning time to review his notes for the calls. Something unexpected happened. These simplified mornings felt natural and sustainable. David realized he'd been trying to cram too many activities into his morning, fighting against his preference for simplicity and focus. He began experimenting with what actually worked for his energy and lifestyle. He discovered that he wasn't naturally energetic at 5 a.m., but he was alert and focused at 6:30 a.m. He didn't enjoy elaborate morning routines, but he thrived with simple, consistent patterns. He didn't want to exercise first thing in the morning, but he loved taking a short walk with his coffee before starting work. David began designing his mornings around these discoveries instead of fighting against them. He started going to bed earlier naturally because he was no longer dreading the morning. He found a rhythm that felt effortless rather than forced. Within a month, David's entire relationship with mornings transformed. He wasn't forcing himself to become someone else. He was discovering who he actually was and creating a morning routine that supported that person. His energy levels improved, his stress decreased, and he actually began looking forward to starting his day. The breakthrough wasn't about finding the perfect routine. It was about understanding that morning success isn't about following someone else's template. It's about discovering your own natural patterns and building a simple system that works with them rather than against them. David's story reveals something profound. The people who consistently win their mornings aren't the ones with the most elaborate routines or the strongest willpower. They're the ones who've learned to listen to their own energy and design their mornings around their authentic preferences and natural rhythms. Here's what transforms everything about winning the morning. Success isn't about forcing yourself through someone else's routine. It's about discovering your unique morning rhythm and creating simple systems that work with your natural energy. Most people approach mornings backwards. They find a routine that worked for someone else and try to force themselves into it. But sustainable morning success requires the opposite approach, understanding your natural patterns first, then designing activities that align with those patterns. This reveals something that changes everything. Your best morning routine already exists within you. It's not something you need to create from scratch or copy from someone else. It's something you need to discover by paying attention to when you naturally feel energetic, what activities genuinely energize you, and how you prefer to transition from sleep to full wakefulness. The people who effortlessly win their mornings have learned to recognize the difference between what they think they should do and what actually works for their unique system. They've stopped trying to become morning people and started becoming themselves in the morning. Let me share the story of Sarah, a graphic designer who struggled with mornings for years. She tried every morning routine she could find: early workouts, meditation, journaling, elaborate breakfast routines. Nothing stuck because she was trying to force herself into patterns that didn't match her natural energy. The transformation came when Sarah stopped trying to follow someone else's template and started paying attention to her own patterns. She noticed that she felt most creative and energetic around 7 a.m., not 5 a.m. She realized that quiet, solitary activities energized her more than social or high-intensity activities. She discovered that she preferred simple, consistent routines rather than elaborate sequences. Sarah designed her mornings around these discoveries. She woke up at 6:45 a.m. and spent the first 30 minutes doing gentle stretching while listening to music. She made the same simple breakfast every day and used the time to mentally prepare for her work. She avoided checking emails or social media until after 9 a.m. This simple routine felt effortless because it aligned with her natural preferences. Sarah wasn't fighting against her energy, she was flowing with it. Her mornings became a source of calm energy rather than stress and struggle. This reveals the deeper principle. Morning success isn't about discipline or willpower, it's about alignment. When your morning activities match your natural energy patterns, chronotype, and authentic preferences, consistency becomes effortless because you're not fighting against yourself. The conventional approach to morning routines is like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. You might succeed through enormous effort, but it will always feel forced and unsustainable. The aligned approach is like water flowing downhill. It follows the natural path and arrives at the destination with grace and ease. Consider how different trees respond to morning sunlight. Some flowers open immediately when the sun rises, others wait until the light reaches a certain intensity, and others don't open until later in the day. Each response is perfectly natural for that particular species. None of them are wrong, they're just different. Your morning energy works the same way. Some people are naturally energetic at dawn, others need time to gradually wake up, and others don't hit their stride until later in the morning. Understanding your natural pattern and working with it is the key to sustainable morning success. The deeper insight is that winning the morning isn't about becoming someone different, it's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about creating space for your natural energy to emerge rather than forcing it into an artificial pattern. When you align your morning routine with your authentic self, something beautiful happens. The activities you choose naturally energize you instead of depleting you. The timing feels natural instead of forced. The routine becomes something you look forward to rather than something you have to push yourself through. This alignment creates a positive feedback loop. Because the routine feels natural, you're more likely to stick with it. Because you stick with it, you start each day feeling successful and energized. Because you feel successful and energized, you approach the rest of your day with confidence and momentum. The people who consistently win their mornings understand that morning success isn't about perfection, it's about personalization. They've learned to design their mornings around their unique energy patterns, life circumstances, and authentic preferences. They know that the best morning routine is the one that works for them, not the one that works for someone else. Now let's explore how to discover and implement your unique morning success system. This isn't about following a rigid template. It's about creating a personalized approach that works with your natural patterns. The first step is understanding your natural chronotype and energy patterns. Most people try to build morning routines without knowing when they actually feel energetic and what activities naturally appeal to them. Start by tracking your natural energy patterns for 1 week without trying to change anything. Notice when you naturally feel most alert, when you prefer to be active versus quiet, and what time you naturally want to go to bed when you're not forcing yourself to stay up or go to sleep. Pay attention to the difference between your natural wake-up time and your ideal wake-up time. There might be a gap, but understanding your natural pattern gives you a realistic starting point for gradual adjustment. Observe what activities naturally energize you in the morning versus what activities drain you. Some people are energized by physical movement, others by quiet reflection, others by social interaction, and others by creative activities. There's no right or wrong, only what works for your unique system. Notice your natural transition preferences. Some people like to jump into activity immediately upon waking. Others need a gradual transition period. Some prefer silence and solitude, others like music or podcasts. Some want to move their body first, others want to engage their mind. Track how different foods, drinks, and activities affect your energy levels throughout the morning. You might discover that certain foods make you feel sluggish, that caffeine works better at certain times, or that certain activities create sustainable energy while others create a spike followed by a crash. The key is to observe without judgment. You're not trying to change anything yet. You're simply gathering information about how your system naturally works. This information becomes the foundation for designing a routine that feels effortless rather than forced. Once you understand your natural patterns, the next step is designing a simple routine that works with them rather than against them. The most sustainable morning routines are surprisingly simple because they focus on a few key activities that genuinely make a difference. Choose 3 to 5 activities that naturally align with your energy patterns and genuinely contribute to how you want to feel during the day. More than 5 activities usually creates overwhelm and decision fatigue, while fewer than 3 might not provide enough structure. Focus on activities that serve multiple purposes. For example, a morning walk can provide movement, fresh air, thinking time, and transition from sleep to wakefulness. A simple breakfast routine can provide nourishment, comfort, and a sense of accomplishment. Design your routine around consistency rather than perfection. It's better to do simple things consistently than complex things sporadically. Your brain learns through repetition, and consistent simple actions create more lasting change than inconsistent elaborate ones. Create flexibility within structure. Have core activities that happen every day, but allow for variation in how they're done. For example, you might commit to 15 minutes of movement every morning, but some days that might be stretching, others walking, and others dancing. Dancing can be fun and structured, bicycle riding, or even a foot run. Prepare as much as possible the night before. The more decisions you can eliminate from your morning routine, the more energy you'll have for the activities that matter. This might mean preparing clothes, breakfast ingredients, or workspace setup before you go to bed. Make your routine feel good rather than feel like work. If an activity consistently feels like a chore, either modify it or replace it with something that naturally energizes you. The goal is to create a routine that you look forward to rather than one you have to force yourself through. The third foundation is implementing your routine gradually rather than trying to change everything at once. Most people fail with morning routines because they try to make dramatic changes overnight, which creates resistance and overwhelm. Start with one simple change and make it so easy that you can't fail. If you want to wake up earlier, start by waking up just 15 minutes earlier rather than an hour. If you want to exercise, start with 5 minutes of stretching rather than a full workout. Focus on consistency over intensity. It's better to do something small every day than something big once a week. Your brain learns through repetition, and these small, consistent actions build the neural pathways that make larger changes feel natural. Add new elements to your routine only after the previous ones feel completely natural and automatic. This usually takes about 2 weeks for simple habits and 4 weeks for more complex ones. Expect resistance and plan for it. Your brain is designed to prefer familiar patterns, so it will initially resist changes even when they're beneficial. This resistance is normal and temporary. It decreases as the new pattern becomes familiar. Celebrate small wins consistently. Your brain responds to positive reinforcement much better than criticism. When you acknowledge progress, even tiny progress, you're training your system to associate morning activities with good feelings. Allow for imperfection and adjustment. There will be days when you don't follow your routine perfectly, and that's completely normal. The key is to get back on track quickly without self-judgment and to adjust your routine based on what you learn about what works and what doesn't. The fourth foundation is continuously optimizing your routine based on what you learn about your patterns and preferences. The best morning routine is one that evolves with you rather than remaining static. Pay attention to seasonal changes in your energy and preferences. You might find that your ideal routine in winter is different from your ideal routine in summer. This is natural and normal. Allow your routine to adapt to these changes. Notice how life circumstances affect your routine and build flexibility accordingly. A routine that works when you're single might need adjustment when you're in a relationship. A routine that works when you're working from home might need modification when you're commuting to an office. Regularly assess what's working and what isn't. Ask yourself, what parts of my morning routine do I look forward to? What parts feel forced or draining? What would make my mornings feel even better? Experiment with small changes when you feel drawn to them. This might mean trying a new activity, adjusting the timing of existing activities, or changing the order of your routine. The key is to make changes gradually and pay attention to how they affect your energy and mood.
Remember that optimization doesn't mean constantly changing everything. Sometimes the best optimization is sticking with what works. The goal is to create a routine that continues to serve you well rather than one that becomes stale or irrelevant. Trust your instincts about what feels right for you. Your inner wisdom knows better than any external advice what approach will work long-term for your unique system. The key is to listen to this wisdom rather than dismissing it in favor of what works for others. When you build your morning routine on these 4 foundations, energy discovery, simplicity design, gradual implementation, and personal optimization, something beautiful happens. What used to require enormous willpower becomes effortless. What used to feel like swimming upstream becomes flowing with the current. You stop being someone who struggles with mornings and become someone who naturally thrives in the early part of the day. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming aligned with your natural patterns and preferences. Now let's translate these foundations into a practical step-by-step approach you can begin implementing immediately. Remember, the goal isn't to do everything at once, but to start where you are and build gradually. Spend the first week simply observing your current patterns without trying to change anything. This assessment phase is crucial because most people try to build morning routines without understanding how their system actually works. For 7 days, track when you naturally wake up, how you feel upon waking, what activities naturally appeal to you in the morning, and what your energy levels are like throughout the first few hours of the day. Use a simple journal or phone app to record these observations. Notice what currently works well in your mornings and what doesn't. You might discover that you already have some elements of a good routine. Perhaps you naturally drink water when you wake up, or you instinctively stretch before getting out of bed. These existing positive patterns can become the foundation for your optimized routine. Pay attention to external factors that affect your morning experience. This might include how much sleep you got, what you ate the night before, whether you checked your phone immediately upon waking, or how much natural light was in your room. Observe your natural transition preferences. Some people need time to gradually wake up. Others prefer to get moving immediately. Some like silence, others prefer music or podcasts. Some want to eat right away, others prefer to wait. These preferences aren't arbitrary, they're information about how to design a routine that feels natural. Track your energy patterns throughout the morning. Notice when you feel most alert, when you prefer to be active versus reflective, and when you naturally want to engage with other people or focus on solitary activities. In the second week, use the information you gathered to design a simple routine that works with your natural patterns rather than against them. The key is to start with what already works and gradually add elements that align with your authentic preferences. Choose 3 to 5 activities that naturally appeal to you and would contribute to how you want to feel during the day. These might include gentle movement, quiet reflection, creative activities, planning your day, or nourishing your body. Arrange these activities in an order that feels natural based on your energy patterns. If you need time to gradually wake up, start with gentle activities and build toward more active ones. If you prefer to get moving immediately, start with physical activities and then move to quieter ones. Determine the timing that works best for your schedule and energy. If you're naturally energetic at 6 a.m., design your routine around that time. If you don't feel fully awake until 8 a.m., work with that pattern rather than fighting it. Create a simple preparation routine for the night before. This might include preparing clothes, breakfast ingredients, or workspace setup. The goal is to eliminate as many decisions as possible from your morning so you can focus on the activities that energize you. Plan for flexibility within structure. Decide which elements are non-negotiable and which can be adapted based on circumstances. For example, you might commit to 15 minutes of movement every morning, but allow that movement to vary based on weather, energy levels, or time constraints. In the third week, begin implementing your routine gradually rather than trying to change everything at once. Start with the element that feels most natural and appealing to you. If your new routine requires waking up earlier, make the adjustment gradually. Start by waking up 15 minutes earlier than usual and only increase this by another 15 minutes after the first timing feels completely natural. Focus on consistency over perfection. It's better to do a simple version of your routine every day than a perfect version sporadically. Your brain learns through repetition, and consistent simple actions create more lasting change than inconsistent elaborate ones. Add new elements to your routine only after the previous ones feel automatic. This usually takes about 2 weeks for simple habits. Don't rush this process. Solid foundations create lasting change. Expect some resistance and plan for it. Your brain prefers familiar patterns, so it will initially resist changes even when they're beneficial. This resistance is normal and temporary. It decreases as the new pattern becomes familiar. Track what's working and what isn't. Pay attention to how different activities affect your energy, mood, and overall day. Use this information to make small adjustments that improve your routine. In the fourth week and beyond, focus on optimizing your routine based on what you've learned about your patterns and preferences. The goal is to create a routine that continues to serve you well rather than one that becomes stale or burdensome. Make small adjustments based on what you've discovered. This might mean changing the order of activities, adjusting the timing, or replacing activities that don't feel natural with ones that do. Build in seasonal variations if needed. Your ideal routine in winter might be different from your ideal routine in summer, and that's perfectly normal. Allow your routine to adapt to these natural changes.
Create contingency plans for different circumstances. Have a simplified version of your routine for busy days, travel days, or days when you're not feeling well. This flexibility helps you maintain consistency even when life gets complicated. Regularly assess your routine's effectiveness. Ask yourself, what parts of my morning routine do I look forward to? What parts feel forced or draining? What would make my mornings feel even better? Remember that optimization doesn't mean constantly changing everything. Sometimes the best optimization is sticking with what works. The goal is to create a routine that continues to energize and support you rather than one that becomes another source of stress. After the initial implementation period, focus on maintaining your routine while allowing it to evolve naturally with your changing needs and circumstances. Continue to pay attention to your energy patterns and preferences. As you grow and change, your ideal routine might need adjustments. This is natural and healthy. Allow your routine to evolve with you. Stay flexible about methods while remaining consistent about outcomes. For example, you might consistently commit to starting your day with movement, but allow that movement to vary based on season, location, or energy levels. Celebrate your progress regularly. Acknowledge how your mornings have improved and how this positive change has affected the rest of your day. This positive reinforcement helps maintain motivation and appreciation for your routine. Don't be afraid to experiment with small changes when you feel drawn to them. This might mean trying a new activity, adjusting timing, or changing the order of your routine. The key is to make changes gradually and pay attention to how they affect your overall experience. Remember that the goal isn't to have perfect mornings every day. It's to have a sustainable routine that generally supports your well-being and sets a positive tone for your day. Some days will be better than others, and that's completely normal. Trust the process of gradual improvement. Often, the most significant changes happen so gradually that you don't notice them day to day. But if you compare your mornings now to how they were 3 months ago, the transformation can be remarkable. The key to long-term success is remembering that winning the morning isn't about following someone else's template. It's about discovering and honoring your own natural patterns. When you build your routine on this foundation of self-understanding and authentic preferences, consistency becomes effortless because you're not fighting against yourself. Winning the morning isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about discovering your natural rhythms and creating simple systems that work with your authentic energy rather than against it. The journey we've explored together reveals that morning success isn't found in copying someone else's routine or forcing yourself through activities that feel unnatural. It's found in the quiet wisdom of understanding your own patterns, honoring your unique preferences, and building a routine that feels like coming home to yourself. Your struggles with morning routines weren't a sign that you're not meant to have good mornings. They were simply information that you hadn't yet found the approach that works for your unique system. Now you have the tools to discover that approach and implement it in a way that feels sustainable and energizing. Remember that this process is about progress, not perfection. There will be days when your routine doesn't go as planned, and that's completely normal. The key is to approach these moments with curiosity rather than judgment, using them as information to refine your approach rather than evidence that you failed. The people who consistently win their mornings understand that morning success is deeply personal. What works for them might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for others. This isn't a problem to solve, it's a beautiful truth to embrace. As you begin implementing your personalized morning routine, trust the process of gradual emergence. Small, consistent actions create lasting change more effectively than dramatic short-term efforts. Your brain learns through repetition, and these gentle daily practices build the neural pathways that make morning success feel natural and effortless. The transformation that awaits you isn't just about better mornings, it's about starting each day from a place of alignment, energy, and authentic self-expression. When you win the morning in a way that honors who you really are, you set the tone for approaching your entire day with confidence, clarity, and natural momentum. This is your invitation to stop fighting against your nature and start working with it, to stop copying others and start discovering your own unique path to morning success, to stop forcing outcomes and start creating conditions where the right actions become inevitable. Your perfect morning routine already exists within you, waiting to be discovered. It's not something you need to create from scratch or force into existence. It's something you need to uncover by listening to your body's wisdom, honoring your authentic preferences, and building simple systems that support your natural energy. The morning victory you're seeking isn't about conquering yourself, it's about coming home to yourself. And when you approach mornings from this place of self-understanding and authentic alignment, every day becomes an opportunity to experience the quiet joy of living in harmony with who you really are. Your mornings are waiting for you to discover them, not the mornings you think you should have, but the mornings that naturally emerge when you honor your authentic self and create space for your unique energy to flourish. This is how you win the morning every day, not through force, but through the gentle power of being genuinely, authentically yourself.